got a funny one for you. It's a little bit sad at the same time because I started making a list of everything wrong with the current version of Warzone. Kind of stay tuned because if I missed any, make sure you comment those down below. But I think I got a lot of them because we got over 30 of them. If you don't think there's that many, just stay tuned. There are quite a bit. Start off with quality of life issues that are currently gone from the game and haven't made their way back or got removed with the update, which is kind of unfortunate. First being the gas mask animation break. I had this happen to me probably a couple times. I did tweet about it. It says that they've addressed it, but I haven't gone into the game to see if they fixed this. Primarily when the gas mask breaks, it'll go ahead and pull off the animation. Then you're kind of stuck in the hip fire. Terrible. Hopefully they've already fixed that though. The visual shake on the weapons. Throughout the year, Sledgehammer did a passes through with Raven, and they continually improved the recoil. And now all the guns kind of have this visual recoil back. That's super excessive and makes a lot of guns that would be viable at long range just not viable. Bad enough you got to deal with actual recoil. The visual recoil just throws off too many players and makes a gun that would ordinarily be very good at long range almost unusable and almost give you a headache from the amount of shakes, which is kind of insane. Next up is the mantling. We had mantling boots all of last year. They were kind of default perks that they carried over from MW3. The mantling still kind of slow. I know they did a pass through today. I haven't really done a head-to-head comparison to see how that is because they just did it. But overall, that's something that should be there by default, along with weapon swap speed and those types of things, which we'll talk a little bit about. But the in-game challenge tracking, that's gone. There's so many insane challenges that you would never do unless you're like paying attention to them on the forefront. And sometimes the challenges can be so hidden in the menus. You're trying to work on something specific, whether it's a camo or something like that. You kind of want to be able to see what your progress is. And this should be for all modes, not just Warzone. Should be for multiplayer and zombies as well. So how has that gone? Favoriting attachments. I know they've simplified the loadout. We still have about 25 or so optics on almost all of the BO6 weapons. But if you go to try and make a creative class for MW2 and MW3 weapons, it kind of hurts not being able to highlight some of the optics that you like when there's over 70 in those specific titles, which is a little bit unfortunate. Maybe they'll come around and we'll be able to get those. So those are a couple quality of life. If you think there's a few others that I'm missing, let me know in the comments. They might get touched on when we talk about networks or other fundamental game issues, which there are a ton, and then the bugs. There's the long list of bugs that are currently in the game that I think a lot of these will get addressed, but I want to go ahead and bring them out to the forefront. Next up is the network issues. A lot of people are talking about this. I know a lot of people in my last video were talking about it, or one of my recent videos are talking, hey, Tactical Brit has a great video on this. He does have a pretty good video on it. I disagree on some of the points, but overall, I think it's a pretty solid video that kind of talks about the network problems with the game that's leading to extreme desync. And a lot of these things are visible in testing. I've seen a few different clips where people are doing testing, which I'll probably link in the description if you want to check this out. But it's leading to a lot of issues with kill cams, which are notoriously not accurate ever in Call of Duty history. So they're not going to be particularly accurate when the network's having issues. But you can see this with sniper shots where you can shoot somebody, you might get a red mist, you feel like you should have got a hit marker or a down, and then you just get nothing. And the reality is the game is trying to do something on both sides. There is a long video about this. Actually, Infinity Ward made this video about their network issues back when Modern Warfare 2019 dropped, and it kind of explains how some of these things do and what the systems are trying to do. But overall, it's terrible right now, and it's probably the worst it's ever been. Usually with the new Call of Duty, within betas, within integrations, usually any one of these touching points, there's almost always issues with the network, but it's never been as bad as this. Call of Duty usually runs on the 60 hertz servers. Warzone is notoriously running at the 20 hertz servers, same as Apex Legends. I think Fortnite's only at 30 and PUBG's kind of like at 60, and that's it kind of for Battle Royale. All the other 6v6 games, 5v5, CSGO, Valorant, those are like way more tick rate, but typically that's way less players as well. I think Overwatch has a decent one as well. I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head. Battlefield, whatever. But it's leading to a lot of desync, so they got to get this dialed in, whether it's the lag compensation algorithm, or maybe there's not enough servers. Maybe it is the tick rate. Maybe there's way more players than they ever expected to be on the game. They did tweet out that saying this is the most players that have ever been on their games in the history of Call of Duty for the entire month. So the retention is way better than we've had previously, despite a lot of these flaws in the game. So hopefully they get whatever it is dialed in, because normally it does improve. Another thing this is leading to, if you watch your kill cam, somebody could be shooting you in your legs and it looks like they're getting headshot hit markers. Again, this part was tested and you could actually see it where you're not getting that damage. The TTKs are normal. It's just because of the desync and the network issues trying to play catch up causes a lot of issues, and it's just feeding you false information. So I wouldn't really rely on a kill cam. And if you die instantly faster than you'd expect with the TTK, it's just the network being weird. It's just kind of how it goes. A lot of people lean into this skill-based hit reg or skill-based whatever. I mean, they can't even get their network in order to run properly. I don't know how anyone could think that they can get it well enough to work in real time to adjust to the player's skill. In a fight where there's skill-based matchmaking, you should already be going against someone of similar skill. I don't know. Either way, networking is atrocious. Whatever they do to fix it, hopefully they address it sooner rather than later. Then it comes to the other issues. So now this is like a big bullet point where either they could be a feature or a bug. I don't know. If they're a feature, I want them to change. If they're a bug, I want them to be fixed. And there's a bunch of bullet points in here. Audio, still pretty terrible. Even though they did that pass through, it is better than day one. 100% better than day one. But the audio, it just has a ton of issues and super inconsistent. I also think the chest audio, like this chest right in front of us, we should be able to hear that. But a lot of times the audio is just so faint, you don't even know that there's chests nearby. And I'm used to Call of Duty where you can hear the chest, especially in Warzone, where you're going around like, oh, I should be able to hear that. There's a lot of other deafening effects. The gas. Here's one, the gas is a problem. I don't like what they've done to change it. It kind of makes all your screen blurry. I get it cool if you want to leave it white, but my screen should mostly be clear, and maybe I'm just taking tick damage. That should be enough for me to know that get out of the gas. It shouldn't be one of those things where I need to stay in and just completely get bombarded with fog or whatever the heck you want to call it. It's bad enough to be in the gas. You're already at a disadvantage by being in the gas anyways. Your health is going to be lower than anyone challenging you. So like, why give us the extra penalty, right? Bullet velocities on a lot of these. How is this guy still alive? Only level 10? That's kind of crazy. But the bullet velocities on rifles and LMGs is still a little bit too low. I think when you do a normal build, you're going to be kind of encouraged to go for a recoil ammo and then recoil everything across the board. And the muzzle just isn't enough to give you that oomph. They need to update the suppressor maybe to incorporate that so you can get a little bit of suppressor. Give us something like the monolithic suppressor with it, or some of the suppressors we've had in the past to kind of make those a little bit more viable. I know people are upset about the third partying on this map. A lot of it's because you're not running a suppressor like you would have been. We really haven't for about a year and a half now because they kind of made them not as good. And then they made them really good by giving us the aftermarket part one. So it's kind of like, it's one of those things we just got to get accustomed to not running a suppressor, and people don't realize how big of a suppressor plays into that. But that's kind of a little bit of a tangent there. Slide to fire times on the MW2 and MW3 weapons are pretty bad, particularly for close range meta weapons. If they could be a little bit more tuned to be in line with BO6 weapons, you'd have a lot more fun options to choose from, and then give us some attachments that we can go ahead and improve those, like the ergonomic grip or the CQB grip that we have for the BO6 weapons to make those a little bit more viable. Reloading your weapon is still very slow. They did do a pass through where they made it 10% faster on rifles and LMGs. I still think it's a little bit too slow. It's okay if Treyarch doesn't want to give us a perk that we can include with the Ravens version of Warzone or whatever the heck, but we should just have faster reloads built in by default, just to make a little bit more options viable. Damn, he got deleted. What did he get hit with? Hopefully we can spectate the right person, which is also another bug. Weapon swapping, still a little bit slow. I think the munitions, when you throw that out, it's only giving you one mag for whatever gun you're carrying, which is terrible. That's not enough. It's like if I get into a fight and I need to use munitions and I can only carry one because the backpacks are gone. Huge W on that end, not having to deal with all that nonsense. But the fact that the munitions is whether that's design purpose or a bug, that definitely needs to be fixed. We have weapon leveling still being pretty slow. I think when it comes to Battle Royale, I think everything should kind of just mostly be unlocked. You should be able to build whatever you want, especially for Warzone, since more traditional Battle Royales are all geared towards looting. Obviously, maybe you want to incentivize people to level up. Cool, let them level up all their guns pretty quickly in Warzone, or allow them to be able to unlock stuff a little bit easier. I don't know. There's got to be a methodology to that and make it a little bit easier. See that visibility? Terrible. Dude's in a 1v1v1. We'll probably have to go into another match. A lot of issues with this game currently. Okay, let's see. Gonna clutch up. He didn't see you. Nice. Good nade. The zone pulls to the other guy. It's kind of a hard rotation. You don't know where the third person is. You know where that one is. Guy's sniping. You do have a gas mask to play with. They know where you're at. You do have a smoke to play with. Oh, did you down him? It looked like you might have downed him. Get a little bit of dive action. Where's this third person in the mix? Okay, maybe trying to get another gas mask. Gas mask is about to break. And it just broke without the end. So they did fix that portion as we thought. The guy's throwing some smokes. Okay, we saw the guy cross into the building down low. And then there's one up top. So this was the one he wasn't fighting. He deletes that guy. And then now we know the guy is down low, has to push towards him. You do have zone pull. And you know that the guy either working his way up or he's going to be down low. So we'll see what ends up happening here. This guy only has 10 kills. Anti-procedure. Oh, damn, he just... I wonder if the guy is cheating because he never even checked the bottom where the guy ran into. Just assumed that they'd be up there. Maybe he had better audio cues. I don't know. Funny enough, that is a perfect segue into the next problem, which is cheaters. Obviously, they're pretty bad right now, and they're probably the worst they've ever been. Particularly if you're playing multiplayer ranked, you already know how big of a problem that is. They did just recently tweet out saying, hey, we're working on it. We're on top of it. It's a priority. But they've always told us this until it actually fixes it. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't believe it, right? Same thing with the shadow ban system being a continual problem. For whatever reason, when you do die to a player, if you want to spectate them, it bugs out as well. That's another thing. I don't know if it's a feature or a bug because it gives you that loser circle, not the winner circle, because obviously you're not winning, but it gives you that little circle. And then when you go to spectate, it applies you to spectate a random player instead of the player that killed you, which kind of defeats the purpose. Like, how can I report the person who killed me if I thought they were a cheater if I can't actually spectate them until towards the end of the match? People ain't got no time for that. Like, what the heck are we doing? They also have the other part where the optimization of the game is just not as good. You're getting less frames now than you were a couple weeks ago on the previous version of the game. Obviously, they got to optimize it and they changed a bunch of things, but it's like, what the heck? How is it going to perform that much worse? Even on Urzikstan, which we've already been playing on for the past year or so. For that, a lot of people are dealing with crashes at a higher rate than they've ever dealt with them. Personally, I haven't had any crashes. I had a couple game freezes during multiplayer or zombies, but for Warzone, I haven't had any of those issues regardless of testing, playing at Area 99, Rebirth Island, and I don't play Urzikstan. I don't play VR. Another part is generally the visibility of the game is just super blurry in general. Sometimes somebody will shoot you and it's really hard to tell where they're shooting you from. It's kind of like everything blends in. I don't know what they've done to pass through. Obviously the floor loot's great. You can see the outlines. I like what they've done with that. They've eased that part of it. We're not really talking about good things right now, but in general, I feel like they've done some good things in other areas, but the visibility, it's kind of hard to spot that player even when they're directly on your screen, which I don't really feel like it's been like that for a while. Maybe since Caldera, we had some of those issues and they were able to figure it out. And then the other part is the visibility while taking damage. Anytime you get shot, your screen will go with the little blue flickers. And then when your armor breaks, it gives you a full coverage of the entire screen. So you lose all visibility for like a couple frames. Same thing when you end up getting shot. Blood hit markers, it covers your screen in red, which those ones, they said that they limited them. So there's still a significant issue in the game that hurts visibility of the game. The other part is the bad design with eliminations over kills and them being buggy in general, which we'll talk a little bit about. But in general, I don't like the idea of eliminations, EKIAs, whatever in multiplayer, but essentially it combines your kills with assists. So if you lean damage on anyone, you shoot one bullet out of the sky, your team shoot, you're going to get credit for all those engagements. We've always had that in the form of assists. And this has a trickle over to the leaderboards. We don't have combat records. Like, that was a quality of life I forgot to mention on my list. So we're over like 35 items at this when we come into this next part. Then we get into the bugs, and then there's a plethora of bugs. They may have been included in kind of one of the bullet points that I already did, but currently there are a lot of bugs. Several perks either don't do anything, are bugged, don't do what they are intended to do, and they need some kind of buff. Just like cold-blooded not working consistently. Obviously, dexterity needs a huge buff. Maybe that can include weapon swapping. The Mountaineer part of it sucks. There's so many different perks. Like, you could just go on and on about how they're kind of trash. Move on to the next POV. Nice. You can randomly teleport on the map. I've really only seen this on Urzikstan, where people randomly launch out of a vehicle. They randomly launch in a lot of different ways. And it's really, really buggy. Obviously, we've had these types of bugs before in Verdansk, Caldera, pretty much every iteration of the map. And they usually work themselves out, but there's so many going on right now. Settings. People's settings reset. They finally watch a guide like mine or one of the other ones out there. They copy them to the T. Their game gets running smoothly. And then all of a sudden, they reload the game. Update requires restart. And boom, they're back to default settings. Then they got to go through the guide again. They got to figure that out. Suppose there's a workaround. If you know it, go ahead and put it in the comments. I haven't really dealt with that issue, so I haven't had to think of a workaround. Screen will randomly flicker. It's almost like you're updating your emote wheel. So you can kind of see what is, doing one of those is quick pop-up. But it does that randomly. And I don't know what the heck's causing it, but that's another bug. Infinite fetching player, so people can't even play the game. And apparently this is a max level bug. So once you reach level 56 and you should prestige, the game might lock you out because you need to change your operator or something. And then because of this, you can't play the game. It'll just keep fetching profile. How do you get around this? You got to prestige or wait. That's kind of your two options, I believe. Because there's a bug with that, and that'll default everything out when you prestige. So then it solves the issue for you. Streaks. If you call in a certain number of streaks or something bugs them out, so then your streaks don't work effectively and you can't actually interact with it. There is a workaround for this, but again, it shouldn't be a problem in the first place. We've had streaks since the beginning of Warzone, since 2020 of March. Like, how are these bugs that are coming back? Maybe some of these they're not aware of, but I'm including a lot of these. Like I said, if you got more, let me know. Delay when trying to apply plate. Sometimes you'll hold it and then it's like, okay, where's the action? Where's the action? Let me try it again. And then it does the plating animation, regardless if you have quick fix, tempered, or just the default animation. Sometimes when you're grabbing a gun, the gun will disappear. Like you'll swap it and then it just disappears one of your guns. So there's bugs related to that. I mean, there's so many issues currently with the game. And even with all these issues, I'm having more fun than I've had in like 2 years. Since before Warzone 2 dropped, I'm having more fun. So I know it sounds like, ooh, bleak, complain. I'm having more fun. I've actually did something during this video that I've never done before, during spectating randoms and these types of videos. I actually played 2 matches in between the recording. I go, you know what? I'm gonna get a couple kills off the landing. And one of them I ended up getting like 19 kills, 20 eliminations. But I got 19 kills and I was having fun. I got 4th, whatever. It is, win them all. But regardless, I was having fun, so I kept playing. And that's one of the things that you've got to be aware of. A lot of people are enjoying the game. I think the current version is still potentially one of the best versions we've ever had, despite all those issues. Like, that's kind of sad because we had Warzone 2 and then the Warzone 3 with Modern Warfare 3 or whatever you want to call it. That was a pretty good version of the game. It just was not buggy. But I feel like this version, way more fun. Not having to worry about backpack. I mean, there's so many good things going for it. They just need to get there. And hopefully they just come out. Just be transparent as possible. Say, you know what? We bit off more than we could chew. We end up launching it a couple weeks earlier than we probably should have. I think they should have launched it in December, like we kind of expected. December 5th would have been the date. Obviously, that's the mid-season update, so they couldn't really do that, I guess, because it would have been dry. So it is what it is. Maybe that was the desired date and Activision forced the hand. Whatever, it doesn't matter. No excuses. Just be transparent. I'm having fun. I want to keep having fun the rest of the year, which I have been enjoying the game. But we'll see kind of how that goes. Now, let's get into some of this end game top 10. This guy already got 8 kills. He just got a kill there, but it didn't count. There's the bugginess we're talking about. Sad boy, that's funny. So you got the Jackal and was at the XM4, it looked like. That's my go-to that I'm having a lot of fun with. Especially with the upgrade to the XM4. I usually just get the Overkill class, and then when I get lucky enough to, you know, get enough money, then I'll go buy the 8 attachment version of the XM4. This dude just camping it out. I'll get the 8 attachment version of the XM4, since you don't really need an 8 attachment SMG. It just got sniped. He bails out of there. A little bit of Omni movement. You don't need to go crazy with it. There's so much. The guy's sniping still. Get across. You got to smoke. You're saving it. Doesn't have a self-revive. Still got to get used to like all the different nooks and crannies of the map. You got to finish plating, buddy. There is a spare gas mask there, though. That's kind of cool. All right, what are we doing? We're peeking the area. I feel like in solos, I just played the 2 matches. I've always hated solos, but for whatever reason, I like solos on this map. I played with randoms, and I had more fun with solos. Obviously, there's a ton of third partying, even though they lowered the player count. Okay, you're making the gas play. You got to get out of here. Hopefully, they're not watching you. The audio's buggy where they could hear that a mile away or not at all. Oh, nice. Good spotting the guy in the corner. You got to get plated up. Bought the UAV. I like that it actually shows us that what they bought now. I don't think it did that before. I don't remember. Like, we always kind of had a guess. Okay. Top 6. These is where it gets really sweaty because then nobody moves. And that's the hard part. You just need enough cash. It's 47,000, bro. Spam the advanced UAV, dog. I don't know how you got that much, but you need to spam the UAVs. You should know where everyone is on the map right now. Could have bought specialists, probably. I don't know if it's in every buy. But holy, that's crazy. Oh, what a terrible zone. Okay, you hear somebody sniping. And that's one of the sniping has gotten so powerful is because of the things I mentioned earlier with that visual shake and the bullet velocity. It makes a lot of guns less viable and causes some struggles there. So there's one over there behind you. His back is going to be to the gas. You don't really have to worry about him as much. There's one in front of you. That's it. 1v1. Oh, there's a guy in there. Nice. He spotted him. Watch out, the one above you. It's a 1v1. Will he drop down? Oh, no confidence to Chow. He doesn't got to move towards you. Oh, no. Plate up, plate up, plate up. Quick fix. So maybe he did get specialist. And he still had all that money, 57,000. It's got to be a visual bug, right? Like, there's no way this dude has 57,000. That's crazy. Okay, you hear the footsteps, but it's kind of hard to notice where exactly they are. Now they're above you. Oh, you're going to go make the play? There it is. You spotted him. Easy. Easy. Get him. Get him. Oh, quit playing with your food. Nice. W. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Appreciate all the support. Let me know in the comment section what's your thoughts on the games despite all its flaws. Thank you for watching as always. Have a great day.